Good morning. Happy Thursday. My name's Abby. I think everybody knows me. Community Programs Coordinator here at the Department of Health. And this is the next installment. We're restarting these webinars after a summer break in coordination with Tobacco Free North Dakota. So our first one for this fall is going to recap Quit Week, which is our media campaign to promote ND Quits that occurred back in June. So we do have the results of our media efforts and evaluation. So we will go ahead and get that started. We have two esteemed guests for you today. We have Andrew Horn from Tobacco Free North Dakota and Kara Hickel from the Health Department. Excuse me, I can't count. 3 guests, and Melissa Chapman from PDA, hopefully joining us to present all this information. So I will turn it over to, is it Andrew or Kara first? I guess I should know that as moderator, but.
I'll start off and then Kara will take over.
Let me get your slides up for you. Just 1 second here. Are you able to see those?
Yep, able to see them. If you could full screen that PowerPoint for me so it'd be easier for other people to read the screen as well.
Absolutely. Is that better?
That is perfect.
Sweet, thanks.
So as Abby helpfully pointed out, my name is Andrew Horn from Tobacco Free North Dakota, and joining me is Kara Hickel from NDDHHS. Just keep adding letters onto the acronym. We're here to talk about Quit Week lessons learned from 2023. We had a similar webinar last year, and we were able to make some good changes and adjustments out of that. And we're going to be reporting out what Quit Week is doing for North Dakota as a whole. Next slide, please. So for those unfamiliar, Quit Week very simply is a coordinated multi-platform media campaign to highlight the cessation resources here in North Dakota. We started this over COVID. It really kind of came up pretty quickly in 2020. And ever since that first one, we've just continued to expand the reach, the resources, everything available to you all, as we realized that even a very quickly put together campaign like it was in 2020 had a nice effect on people reaching out and seeking cessation, as you'll see coming up later. Next slide. So multi-platform, for those who don't know, my background is in journalism, so I will tend to throw out terms and sometimes some jargon from that industry. So if I do anything and you all have questions, please put them in the chat, let me know, and I'll try and explain as best as possible. But multi-platform really is just using every avenue possible, whether it's broadcast TV, radio, newspaper, social media, everything we can think of to spread the word. And the screenshot there was from Neil's interview this past year. Neil Sharvat went on North Dakota Today here for KFYR TV in Bismarck and did a fantastic interview talking about Quit Week. Next slide. So the metrics and how we measure specifically on TFND's end, we just pull from the Facebook page. We don't account for the other social media, as things are wildly inconsistent, to be quite frank, with the monitoring of that and the other metrics. So what we do is we take the post on Facebook, and we had the 9 posts from June 9th through the 17th, and measured the impressions and the post reach and engagements on them, which are listed there. We ended up with pretty decent stats in all 3 this year, given that we have fewer than 800 people that like our Facebook page. So when you're reaching 325 people per post, nearly 50% of your audience and affiliated audiences with people who don't like our page but may have seen it from someone who did. That's pretty sizable number for just the 9 posts. And we definitely got a huge boost from the Health and Human Services Facebook page, which on June 9th shared TFND's post and gave us a huge bump in the total impressions, post reach, and engagement. Next slide. Compare that with last year. We had 3 fewer posts this year than last year, and the difference was just shares. When TFND was going through this year, we hadn't actually had a year where we had calculated just the post and just what we did, and we had shared stuff from our partners in previous years, which adds to the totals, but also brings down, also can bring down the averages and mess up the averages, as I'll explain in a little bit. So we really wanted to focus this year on just a straight campaign with the scheduled post and no shares. But in 2022, those are the numbers that you see, and a little bit of a decrease per post in people reached on average, but we had more posts, therefore more people reached. Next slide. And I thought that picture came up bigger. Well, that's just a visual showing how the 2022 stats compared to the 2023. Impressions was new terminology for Facebook Analytics. This year, they've kind of warped it into things in the past. So I don't have impressions for the 2022 quit week, but in the post reach, you can see that there was an increase per post on average. And again, the only difference is post reach is unique. So the number of people who saw it once, and they may have seen it multiple times, but they didn't get added in multiple times. Impressions was just the number of times the post was on the screen. So seeing that number pretty close meant that we were getting a unique audience. If we had had impressions that were 5 times higher than the post reach, that would have shown that the same people were seeing our post over and over. But it being pretty close together shows that we're reaching a more unique audience. Next slide. One of the other things that we've done with Quit Week as TFND's involvement is to get the materials out to the LPHUs and just see kind of how the posting is going. This year, we made a little bit of a change to the counting of the posts. So what counted was same day, same text, same picture. Shares from TFND and other LPHUs on those days counted as posts as well. When we say count, this is strictly for trying to see how many people posted the June 9th post on June 9th. If they posted it a couple days later, it's not like the post didn't count. You're still getting the message out in your community. It is still important. We just wanted to get a strict count and see, could we get all the LPHUs with TFND and posting every single day and posting the same thing every single day, because a unified message does hit stronger. So for 2023, the strict count, same day, same text, same picture, was 148, which is down from last year's count of 175. However, I did put that more inclusive count, and what that means is if you put June 9th on June 11th, that's where it would fall into the more inclusive count number. So we had very good participation overall from the LPHUs. I want to commend all of you on that. We had very good participation again from the LPHUs, and it is definitely making a difference throughout the campaign. Next slide, please. Here we've got the 2023 numbers. Again, we had more LPHUs with a perfect score, posting all 9 posts correctly on each of the 9 days, which was up from last year. We had a couple more also do 0 of the 9 from the strict count. We can definitely attribute that to some of the turnover and some of the new roles people had filled in, and that is something that we will continue to work with and really try and reach out to as many of the LPHUs as we can and get as many of you on the Quit Week bandwagon if you can. Next slide. Another part of our our process is we then give feedback to you all and have you respond into us. We had really good feedback response this year. And the importance of this is that the feedback you give us, myself, Kara Hickel, and other people who are involved are able to take it, and we help structure the next year's campaigns based on the feedback. So these were the feedback questions that TFND sent out to all the LPHUs right after Quit Week. Next slide. And in years past, I've put more feedback in. I honestly got so much of it that I had to really condense it down. So I do appreciate you all for inundating me with the response for Quit Week. We saw a significant increase in reported community events. That was one thing that during the 2022 feedback and this presentation that we had talked about is a lot of units looking to do the community events, and it seems like many of you followed through, and that was awesome, along with outreach to local medical providers, which was another huge area of focus that we've wanted to get in this year. And the other thing is a lot of people had appreciation for just the widespread nature of the media campaign. And I did want to highlight Kim's quote there. Kim recently retired, but sent this in with her feedback, and it says, "It seems that our reputation is changing from trying to force people to quit to being here to help with care instead." And that is great. Obviously, during COVID, public health took various lumps on that from the public, and it is good to see that people are becoming more receptive to this message again and understanding that we are here to help, not here to force you to quit. Next slide. This is something else I wanted to bring up that I mentioned earlier, the difference in an organic post versus a shared post. I don't know if you can read the numbers in there, but the picture on the left ended up, this was from last year's, picture on the left ended up reaching 343 people. The picture on the right reached 53, and the one on the right had double the engagement. So it really is kind of the numbers themselves. Next slide, please. The numbers themselves don't tell the whole story when you're looking at people reached or engagements. They're both important. They're both part of the story, but neither one can really tell it on its own. Really, which one is more important? It depends on what you're going for. The reach shows how many people are seeing it. The engagements are really more indicative of being able to build a relationship, people who are clicking through to interact with your post. Again, both are important. I wouldn't say that there's one more important than the other. So if you have high people reached and low engagements or vice versa, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong. It just shows it can just show a different window into your community. And next slide. All right, now I get to turn it over to Kara Hickel.
Hi, everyone. I want to start out with sharing the ad, and hopefully it will work. And this was the ad that was developed for 2023 Quit Week. This was finalized also in 2023, and we hope to use this for about 2 to 3 years. That is typically the cycle of an ad, especially one that we're only running about a month a year. That seems to be quite effective, and then we will go back to the drawing board probably in about 2 years to have an ad the following year. So I hope that makes sense. Abby, I don't know if you want to try to, there should be a play button on the screen and hopefully it works. And there's no sound.
Let me see.
If not, I do have it pulled up from YouTube on my computer. Maybe I could share the screen and do it that way.
I mean, if you want to, I can end sharing and try that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'll try to share my screen and. Okay, can you all see that? Yes, I hope.
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
I'm not hearing the volume either.
Dang it. Okay. Well, I don't know how else. I hope you guys have seen this commercial. It is on the ND Quit page. Let's see if I can get to stop sharing my screen. Okay, so Abby, do you want to put the PowerPoint back up and we'll just skip that part, I guess. I was hoping that would work. So hopefully you guys have seen the ad when it was running during Quit Week. And if you have not, it is on YouTube on the ND Quits page. Just Google ND Quits and you can see all of our ads that are currently running on there. So it is available there if need be. Okay, next slide. Okay, on this slide, we can see all the media buys that we've had for Quit Week thus far. And as you can see, in 2023, we were able to add a full 4 weeks of cable to our media buy. All the media channels that include broadcast and cable television, radio, social, and digital media. And this year, they all ran for a total of 4 weeks, which is the biggest media buy that we've had thus far. We were a little lucky, or really lucky, by having this be the end of the biennium. And so we had a little extra funding that we could move into media that we hadn't had before. And we took full advantage of that. So with that, all of the media the flight started running on May 22nd and ran through the end of week, which was June 17th. Excuse me. I already said that. So as you can see, before we had we just kind of worked with the budget that we had. And this year we had a very robust budget. So everything had the same timeline. Okay, next slide. And so what Andrew was talking about was more of the organic posts. Everything that I'm going to be referring to, how this differs from what Andrew was talking about, is these are all paid media efforts. So when I say social media, yes, they were on Facebook, but these are the promoted posts that we paid to be present. So that's how what I'm talking about and what Andrew was talking about is a little different. So there was funding behind all of these. Here we can see the media outcomes for 2023. As I discussed these findings for each source, they report them a little bit differently. So if you see different terms, it's not that I chose to just pick what I thought was relevant or my favorite. This is just how they are reported back to us. And not every digital media streaming service or the Facebook and Snapchat, they all report things a little bit differently. So that's why you'll see some different terms as I discuss this. For Facebook and Instagram, which are together. So when you take an ad on Instagram or Facebook, they cross post. So you will see them on both, regardless if which platform you take the ad out on. So that's why we report those together. We ran a 15-second and a 30-second ad. And with this campaign, we saw 56,480 impressions. And an impression is how many times the ad is displayed. We saw from those ads, we saw 6,085 clicks. And this is pretty self-explanatory. That's how many people actually clicked on that ad. We saw 80,670 through plays, which is the number of times the ad played to completion, or at least 15 seconds if we're talking about the 30-second video. That's considered a complete ad. For Snapchat, we ran a 15-second and 30-second video. There were 511,087 impressions. There were 3,435 video completions, which again is the same as the other completion. It ran all the way to the end, or at least 15 seconds. And then we also saw 71 71,408 reach, which is the total of number that people that saw the ad. So for audio streaming and digital streaming services, and these are things such as Pandora and Spotify or podcast streaming services, there were 6 million estimated impressions. Of that, there were 5,857,015 audio completions. And this came to about a 95.26% audio completion rate, which is pretty good. Even in comparison to other campaigns, this is still a pretty good completion rate. So nobody tuned out when they heard our commercial started. Well, some people did, but only less than 5% of people tuned out once they heard that ad. So then when we look at connected TV, and these are streaming services such as Sling and Hulu, anything that you are watching TV or videos online, minus YouTube, that you will see that have ads. We also take ads out on that as our part of our digital media channel. And that on that all connected services, we saw 865,246 impressions. Of that, 848,576 video completions, and that had a 98.15% video completion rate. So even higher than we saw in the audio. Next slide. And I had mentioned before, we had a very robust media budget to work for Quit Week in 2023. And so we were able to take on a couple new initiatives media-wise that we've never done before. Well, I should say one we've never ever done before, and one we have in other media campaigns. And that was taking ads on gas station TV pumps. So when you're filling your gas and you see those nice little TV screens and there's ads and comedy and night show, whatever is on there. So we actually took ads on there, as well as newspaper ads across the state. So for the gas station pump TV, we had a four week of ads, and this followed the same time frame as the other media flights. So that was also May 22nd through the end of Quit Week, which was June 17th. We ran the full 30-second ad, and this was in 90 gas stations across the state in 48 different communities. So if there was a gas station TV in your community or your county, we hit it. So we got all of them across the state that we could. And there was from this campaign, there was an estimated 421,561 impressions. So that's something new that we've never tried before. So I'm really curious what Melissa has to say to see if maybe this moved the needle. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do this more times if we can, to see how much of an impact it makes. So then we also did newspaper ads, and this is something that we've done in other media campaigns. With a half page, for this campaign, we had a half page black and white horizontal ad, and this is primarily in tribal neighborhoods and neighboring communities throughout the state. And this is because we know that in most of the tribal nations throughout North Dakota, there are pockets, really big pockets, that are really hard to reach. It's really hard to reach people because of either lack of internet, or they're just not really good internet service, and even cable and broadcast TV is not as strong. So we have in other campaigns started putting out ads in the tribal community. So we're making sure that we can reach as many people as we can. And for Quit Week, we did that. And this was probably something we will continue to do. It's relatively inexpensive in comparison to all the other media that we're running. And we have got a lot of feedback from our tribal partners and even some of the local public health units around those areas that say that they have appreciated that. So something we will probably continue doing. And with that, we ran one ad twice. So once during the week of May 29th, and then again during the week of June 5th. Next slide. So what do we see for the future of Quit Week? And mark your calendars or save the date. Next Quit Week for 2024 will be June 9th through the 15th. So I know there's a lot of health units that need a lot of time to start planning. We will get you the ads as soon as they are done and approved, probably in early May, maybe even the end of April. We are already starting to work on them, believe it or not. So we should have them at least 6 weeks before the campaign begins. That is our goal. And we will continue the partnership with Andrew and Heather at TFND. We will continue to develop resources for partners as we have in the past, and this will include Facebook posts, infographic fact sheets, as well as the Swiss cheese news release. Next slide. And so this brings me to introduce the next speaker, which is Melissa Chapman from PDA. And just to say that evaluation is crucial in continuing the success of Quit Week. We use the data to make informed decisions about our media buys for all media flights. And Quit Week is a huge part of that when we review to plan how we move forward. And so with that, I will let Melissa take over and go over what PDA found.
Kara, and hello everyone. I do have a PowerPoint, so I will start to share the correct screen. There we go. I think, am I sharing the PowerPoint and not my email?
Yes, the PowerPoint is up.
Great. All right. So let's start to share this. As Kara mentioned, oops, I'm gonna change this. Oops. Are you seeing just the PowerPoint?
Yes, that's the presentation slides. Yes.
Thank you. We have been evaluating media efforts and health communication efforts over time and Quit Week since 2020. And so what we can do as part of the evaluation is look at the quit line and dequits data. And what we do generally is we have a regression study that we look at for media generally that looks at the relationship between media run in North Dakota and calls to the quit line. And so what I'll talk about specifically today is Quit Week evaluation, but just wanted to give a little bit of context there. So obviously, prior speakers have gone through the 4 different weeks of Quit Week. This kind of image was taken from a poster that we did at the last national conference, NCTOH, on Quit Week. So we were able to get a poster at that competitive conference about 2020 and 2022 Quit Week findings. With the idea being that with limited media dollars, having a coordinated Quit Week effort that runs media on multiple channels, as Kara Hickel was just talking about, does it work? And what we had found in previous evaluations is, yes, it does. It drives at work, meaning it drives calls to the quit line. So when media is running, including Quit Week in previous years, calls to the quit line increase. So that was the gist, and that's what we have found every year. This slide is from the synthesis report, and the graph here in particular looks at the average number of calls to ND quits over this 3-year period of time. 2020, 2021, and 2022 is 40. So on an average week, 40 calls. And you can see here, Quit Week was different weeks, but as the media starts ramping up, the curves to all 3 years start to go up, and then Quit Week happens. And after Quit Week, it goes back down. So that media running really is essential. So drum roll, 2023, I have two graphs, and I just kept them out just as 2023, and it worked again, basically is what we found. So we look week to week here. That's how we do media studies. And starting the couple weeks before quit week, you can kind of see calls to the quit line. We're at about 22 calls on May 7th, 33 calls on May 14th. Then quit week media began right around here. So you can see pretty quickly a dramatic increase from 34 to 54 calls, which was sustained through quit week. And then when it was over, it went back down to what it was previously. So this is number of calls, not anyone who calls the quit line. It could be friends and family, providers, or people who want to sign up for the quit line. We also then looked at that actual number of enrollments to ND quits. And similar to the previous figure, with the same timeline, in early May, we had 33 people registering May 7th, the week of May 7th, 31 people the following week. And then when quit week media began, enrollments ramped up again. And so all the way to 62. So just as this is why we do the weeks prior and the weeks after, you can see that basically doubled the number of people enrolling in ND quits during quit weeks. So I think you all can give yourselves a round of applause and a pat on the back. That is the main purpose of the media. And stop sharing now. That was the gist of what I had. There's other things that we can look at, but I think Abby wanted to make sure that there was time for discussion and questions as well.
Super. Thank you so much for that information. And
I love giving
presenting
good results.
that. We love hearing good results.
Yeah.
Super. I did put the link to the ND Quits YouTube channel in the chat, just so people can have that access, since the audio was less than optimal today, or actually non-existent. Any questions for any of our presenters? I didn't see anything. Feel free to pop it in the chat or come off mute, raise your hand. So yes, I would open it up.
You guys have any idea when we'll get countywide data that'll show this, or are we just getting that on regular quit line reports?
That'll be part of the regular quit line report, Brady. Mhm. So Chris asks if there is a plan to do quit week more than once per year. Kara, do you want to take that?
Sure. There is not a plan to expand that to do quit week more than once a year. We do have media flights throughout the year. This year we have 5, and one of those is the Breathe ND flight. And with those flights are also evaluated by PDA, and we do see an increase in enrollments we have in the past. And so we continue to evaluate that. But we are not seeing the biggest increase in enrollment is during quit week, and that seems to be a winning strategy. So we're going to keep that until we start to see things shift a little bit differently in the evaluation. And then we would look at how we could kind of beef up the media efforts to get people to enroll. So at the current time, what we've been doing is working. So we're going to keep with that and keep with our partners at PDA and make sure that that's the case. And if we start to see something different, then we'll adjust or evaluate how we move forward from there.
Kara, is there anything that you guys would frown upon on us using quit week materials or ads during other times of year? You know, not to keep it going constantly, but a couple pop-up times to try to increase numbers and reach more people throughout the year.
We would prefer you use the other ads that we have, and we're constantly evaluating what we need to add to our repertoire of ads. If you were going to do something locally, we would ask that you use one of our other ads, or if there's something that you think you're lacking that Quit Week has that you don't, certainly let me know and I can work with you to see if we can add something. But we do want to keep Quit Week special for now, because we do get lots of calls from general public once we start running those ads, or like even in May, like I think Quit Week's coming up and I'd like to quit during Quit Week. When is that? So people, that holiday, so to speak, of Quit Week, it seems to really be resonating with people in the public, and we don't want to disrupt that, especially since we know it's working right now. But if there's something that you want to do locally and you're missing something that Quit Week has, just let me know, Brady, and I'll see if we don't have it. I'll see if it's possible to create something.
Thanks. I don't think we'd ever use anything that's specifically named Quit Week outside of Quit Week, but just more of a campaign otherwise.
I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. Oh, just as I said that. Oh, we just got a good job. Yes, very, I would echo that. Good information for us to have. And like you said, we take into consideration the evaluation of what's working, what isn't, and this one is working. So plans to continue. So you have the save the date, put that on your calendars for the 2024 year. And if you have suggestions, I know Andrew's been really good about taking your feedback, and that always is incorporated. But if you do think of anything after the fact or after hearing this information of resources that can be provided or different strategies that we could potentially use to improve our outreach, we are interested in hearing those. So feel free to email me with those and we will get those passed along. One more minute for any last minute comments or questions. Yes, another kudos to everything. So thank you, Chris. Well, hearing nothing, I will wrap this up for our September webinar. I am currently planning our October one, so be watching for that notification. I don't quite have things pinned down and finalized to give you an exact date and topic, but just a teaser, it will be a good one. So enjoy your end of September week, and thank you for joining us today.